Thanks, everybody. I know we got lunch coming up, so I'll move along pretty quick. If you saw the Star Wars metaphor we just had in this room, this pitch is going to play right into it. We're going to get into a bunch of DLP as a defense, which is some pretty cool stuff. We just recently brought out 10 new defense technologies using DLP engines. So criminal crypto, password file theft, text.ocr, pulling in text.images and a bunch of other cool stuff. So let's talk about and move the conversation into the advanced threat stages and what you can do for containment. So I've been around for a few years. Used to do military firewalls a long time ago. I was part of McAfee Labs all through the 90s, back when it was kind of pre-internet, built it up. I was in product management at Checkpoint for many, many years with firewalls, VPNs, built that up. Spent 8 years at Blue Coat in large proxy gateways, mainly with the Fortune 500 all around the globe. And then I've been at WebSense a year, mainly because of the DLP engine and what you can do with it as a defense. And we weren't seeing that innovation in my previous employer, so it was kind of nice to move over to a lab where we've got some stronger tools. We can do some cooler things. So let's dig into that. Part of the game thing is changing for you, and I was part of McAfee for many years and the antivirus is, the signature detections aren't working like they used to. I mean, at the good days, they were 88, 91%. Cleaning might be 65, 68%, but now we're in the 30, 50% ranges for what these signature defenses can do for known threats. So the game's changing. The clean button doesn't work. Matter of fact, when's the last time you've seen your system wake up with an AV alert? Doesn't happen very often. So you've got to move into more forensic analysis. You need sandboxing tools. You need to understand the malware yourself. You're going to have to identify infected systems and remediate, basically re-image. So a lot of the convenience of mass malware has gone away, and we're into this custom crafted, targeted stuff, and we're changing the playing field. Some of the big changes, the obvious, obviously any signature-based stuff is a sacrificial lamb defense model, right? So you got to wait for the mass detection. Most bench teams are 15 to 12 people. They'll take the highest volume, highest impact stuff, study it. So what has cybercrime done? They've gone to low profile, below the radar, and they're staying away from the bench teams, and that kind of makes signatures, whether it's AV, URL, or even reputation, less effective. The other thing is there's really a lack of real-time engines, and that's one thing you want to look for is, a proxy gateway is going to stop the traffic, and you can rip through the content, the scripts, you can go through the header stuff, you can look for mouse movement commands, you can rip through all the dynamic links, the refer, you can understand the whole link chain, you can get into a lot more contextual information and do a better job, and then do that in a composite scoring way with some predictive analysis. And you've got a shot of adding another 10 to 12% effectiveness to your detection ranges, right? So you want to dial up some of these techniques. The third one's pretty important, and it kind of plays off the whole Star Wars metaphors, but most networks are built with forward-facing defenses. I put a little airplane symbol on the chart here. It's like going to the airport. To get on the airplane, I do it all the time, you got to go through the whole strip search, the whole bit, especially if you're like over in Tel Aviv and you're flying to Germany like I was on one trip. That was a 4-hour shakedown. So you kind of, international places, it gets a little more serious. But then once you're on the plane, I can grab someone's bag and walk off. Quite often it happens accidentally. Matter of fact, the president of our company walked off with the wrong bag and it was full of medicine, and probably that individual needed their medicine in 4 to 6 hours and kind enough to contact each other, and hotels help switch bags. But if you're malicious and stuff, someone goes to the bathroom, falls asleep, you can grab some of their technology if they're not paying attention to it and walk out. So this airplane model of security doesn't provide any containment. And I'm going to talk about containment defenses today. And then there's the whole, packaging more of the same stuff up with different names. And there's always a new generation of people. I've actually been doing this stuff for 20 some odd plus years, but I meet a lot of new folks too. And it's some of the old stuff just repackaged again. I mean, sandboxing has been around for a long time. Some people get excited and think it's new. A lot of other techniques are out there, and they all kind of build off each other. So kind of strip away the marketing shtick and really get down to the basics and understand the fundamentals, and you should be able to get those technology papers. The advanced threat stages, they don't apply to every threat, but you should start thinking this way. Most people think of dropper files and kind of, let's block with URLs. Those are the stages there you see 5 and 6, but you got to realize there's a lot of reconnaissance going on, a lot of custom lures, stuff that's built. Just the fact that you came to this event, if someone profiled you, they might send you an agenda update, right? That's how they got into Oak Ridge Labs. The second break into Oak Ridge Labs was an email about an agenda update that those people were going to attend. So 50 plus people opened the email, 2 people clicked, and well, what they stole was the guest book from 1990 to 2004. everybody's identity, their birth date, social security number, and all that. Some pretty interesting data to have. So this whole targeted attack thing is coming on pretty strong because you stay below the bench teams. You stay out of the radar of the big labs, you know, the McAfee's, the Symantec's, the Kaspersky's. You want to stay out of that stuff. So you're going to build lures. They're very custom. I'll show you some lures in a little bit. The use of the dynamic redirect. As you know, every web request, I still meet people that think there's one web request. And it's like, no, there's 150 to 175 dynamic URLs that fill out the average web page. There's a hell of a lot of dynamic content coming in. It's not really just one web request. And there's opportunities for malvertising with bad advertising links and all sorts of stuff. So blind redirects happen all the time. You just don't know it. I think his example with the Canadian boarding process and exposure from the last presentation was pretty good. The exploit kits are getting stronger, so Black Hole and Phoenix and Neosploit and all the other ones out there. Matter of fact, they keep adding more and more zero-day vulnerabilities. It's very easy to use. And this changes threat delivery to a sniper type aspect. And they're only going to take the shot with the dropper file and they know they got the open vulnerability. Other than that, the redirect is going to blindly go by and redirect you to where you're going. And you didn't even know it happened. You were sniffed, you were checked out. You know, if you're sitting on an iOS device or something, there's not too many exploit kits going after that, but a Windows system with some old Java on it and some old Adobe code is just Swiss cheese. And so they're going to take a pretty good look at what you have there and get in. Then the dropper files come in, obfuscated, encrypted, the usual steps you expect. That's your AV defenses classically. Call home analysis, a lot of people don't have. You should be looking at dynamic DNS. You should be looking at some other variables. I'll bring up custom encryption and some other stuff in a little bit. And then data theft itself. And most people have looked at DLP as, oh, it's regulatory compliance. A lot of these projects kick off. They go for a year or two, and all you're doing is data classification. Your risk profile hasn't changed at all. You're just out there fingerprinting data, and it's often futile. And there are advanced machine learning techniques and other ways you don't have to do all that data classification. You can salt and pepper the system with enough data that advanced machine learning will go ahead and take off right away. You should be in a risk prevention status in about 8 weeks on a decent project. You shouldn't hang around for 2 years. So you kind of got to watch the Han Solo, the contractor from the last presentation, watch the advice you're getting and really know your data theft prevention. And the message that came out strong was prevent. And I think Kellum did a good job bringing that out at the end, is that if you don't move to a prevention status, you're not going to change your risk profile. And I think he did a good job. So you'll find these 7 stages are very handy to use in discussions, to ask vendors, what do you do about this? How do you detect exploit code? How do you play with redirects? What is your call home capabilities? Can you detect any data theft? This is a very nice storyboard for you to use in an interrogatory to find out how defenses work and what you actually own and what you're going to get from the vendor. Let's go into some evasion techniques. Some simple slides here, but encrypted uploads, whether it's the protocol, the red line, or it's the actual file itself. We can take and basically pattern all the known ciphers. So if it's not one of the known ones, then we know it's something that's custom. To be more marketing-like about it, we'd call it criminal encryption, to be more fear-mongering, but it's custom encryption, it's non-standard stuff. You should know if that's leaving your network. You can tie this in with things like geolocation, and it's like, well, I'm Southwest Airlines, and why is there custom encrypted traffic going to Estonia from my network? Not a good thing. Don't know what it is, I can't get into it, but it raises my eyebrows. And again, it's more this awareness to the communication. So this is one of the things that is going to show up, and I'm going to show you some new defenses that do this. Now, if you do have access, and you actually see in the file, you should be looking for password file theft. And this is just a binary feature. You just turn it on. SAM database, Active Directory database, any of those formats are known. You can mix the formats up. You know, natural language processing, location, all that stuff's built into these engines. And you should be able to pick up, if the files can be seen, anybody trying to exploit password files. It's one of the first things they're going to want to do. And again, the crypto one's a binary check. This one's a binary feature. Our entry-level proxy gateways now have these features, as well as our advanced ones. So this is just stuff that we've got to start using. Next up is non-document data theft. More and more mobile devices out there taking pictures. I always chuckle. We have our annual partner event, and someone high level gets up to give their pitch, and the legal slide comes up. What you're about to see is confidential, and everybody's phone comes out. Slide 1, click. Slide 2, click. The whole darn presentation is on their devices in a matter of minutes as you go through it. And so you've got to be able in a position to use OCR. Now, most web gateways, about 85, 87% of their load is on the rebound, right? The response coming back. You want to be real careful looking at that traffic because you can really screw up the user experience. On the outbound, it's 15 to 17%, that kind of range. It's a very elegant place to throw in some more defenses. So you can actually look at all outbound images, use OCR, scrape the text from them. You can look for standard stuff like confidential and footers and footprints. You can look for registered data if you want from that standpoint. The tests we do, we'll go in, we'll have people just use iPhones or Droids, whatever, take pictures of stuff and start sending it through. And it'll pick it up. And people are like, oh, it's an eye-opener. So the image file. Image files in general on the internet, generally 35, 37% of web traffic. If you want to profile it, most inbound analysis will avoid them. There aren't a lot of known threats in image files. Yes, stenography is out there and stuff, but generally AV engines and other defenses will say, look, it's an image file, true file type it, TFT it, if it's positive, it looks like it's the right type of file, let it go by. Because you're going to get a 12 to 15% performance benefit in your gateway. And performance is really important when you're dealing with every mouse click that goes in and out of the internet. So it's kind of a known open area with cybercrime that image files don't really get looked at on the inbound, and on the outbound, nobody looks at them. It's a very nice communication method to use that's currently just wide open. So we're going to attack that and start to get into pulling the OCR text. Slow data leaks. Most of our gateways are built in architecture. We look at each instant by itself. Here comes a request. In, comes back. We don't look at multiple requests. We don't have a cumulative knowledge. And so slow data leaks, what's also called drip DLP, is another open area. So why does this PC every hour send out one customer record? I've set my DLP policy where I'll look for at least 3. Because one's kind of acceptable, and plus I don't want a bunch of alerts, because if I get 800 alerts a day, I got too much work to do and I don't have the staff. So let's dial up that threat level and just say, okay, well, if it's 1 or 2, it's okay. And so cybercrime leverages this. They learn these thresholds, and they're going to go ahead and stay low. And they're very patient. They got time on their side. So slow data leaks, another area. And again, you can use DLP as a defense, and you can allow the administrator to set basically an anomaly algorithm, N of M times T, right? So you got N of M events within a time zone of T. Some of this stuff we developed at Checkpoint years ago. We now use it at, we called it the MAD algorithm back in the early days of Checkpoint, but we now use this at WebSense as well. And we allow you to define that for DLP incidents. Email security evasion. This is kind of a really big shift, and a lot of people are kind of blindsided by it, but a hacker's going to send an email with an embedded link. Most of the stuff that's going through is business related. FedEx delivery, ticket confirmation, credit card confirmation, some type of business topic. That's the spam that's getting through. On the converse, on Facebook, it's most of the lures. 42% of Facebook is social media, streaming content, and that tends to be videos, right? The lures are greatest golf video, cam left on, dad walks in on daughter, Italian actress exposed herself. There's hundreds of them. So you got the web side tends to be entertainment, the email side tends to be business focused. And what they're doing with emails, they're sending it in on a Friday or Saturday, maybe a Sunday. Your email gateway analyzes it. It may do attachment analysis, it may do link analysis. Everything's clean. They haven't armed the website yet. Monday morning at 6 a.m., they arm the website. And you put the email in the user inbox Sunday night. I go to my favorite coffee shop, I open up my email, click. If I'm on a laptop outside of the corporate network, I probably just have AV. Maybe there's a suite, personal firewall, HIPS, and that kind of stuff. But I'm generally open to a brand new armed website that's going to go ahead and probably throw me to an exploit kit, look for a vulnerability, a 0-day, and head in. And so you have to really look at Sunday email security doesn't protect on Monday. And what you need to do is you need to wrap URLs. If you're going to allow embedded URLs to go through email, you wrap them so that when they click on them, they go to a cloud-based defense that analyzes them in real time. And that's where we're moving with email security. There's a change going on there. So you'll probably hear more about that from different vendors. There's 3 or 4 vendors that do it. WebSense is one of them as well. We call it URL email sandboxing. Some people call it redirect wrapping. But it's something to put on your radar screen. All right, here's a nice example. I was actually building a pitch to go over to London and launch some of these new defenses and stuff. This comes in 12:38 on Friday. And I'm sitting on WebSense email going, first of all, we're a security company. Why did it come through? It's got an HTTPS link, which is great because most people aren't messing with SSL. Beautifully crafted. And it's like a debit to my account, which is like, hey, what's this? We hit about 6 to 10 people I remember on the list. A lot of it was executives. A lot of people had public exposed identities. So first initial, last name at websense.com, pretty easy to target people. Went through, gave it to labs, researched it, was malicious, was a malicious link, it was a spearfish, right? So here's the custom crafted lure, here's the redirect, SSL, and if you're not inspecting SSL traffic, you're going to be hurting. The other thing, just to bring up an SSL real quick, is it's greatly growing, right? It's not 15, 20%. It's common now to go to customer networks and cloud-based apps. People are using more and more mobile platforms to see 60%. I was at one company, 72% SSL. Those kind of SSL loads will hit your web gateway and deliver about 1/5 to 1/6 of the performance. So if you got a web gateway that handles 10,000 people and you suddenly go, oh yeah, SSL was 20% when we bought it, and now it's creeping past 50, heading towards 70, because SSL is kind of the new de facto for people for privacy, you're going to find out your gateway is getting crushed. So keep an eye on your logs, keep an eye on your CPU performance and stuff. You may have to upgrade your hardware. So SSL is busted a lot of people. I've been into shops where we actually go through the whole load balancing algorithm. We show how all 4 gateways crashed in the order they did, and it's like, yeah, you guys are just killing it. You don't use Exchange anymore inside. You went to a totally cloud-based mail. You went to all cloud-based apps. You don't have any IT infrastructure inside your house anymore. And so watch for that. So this is an area you've got to inspect. All right, so kind of moving into solving open issues. We really got to look at protection for advanced threats, low, slow, below the radar. We've got to introduce containment for data leaks. I'll show you some of these new defenses we've kind of positioned. Again, a threat dashboard. You should have a threat dashboard. You should have forensic reporting. You should know who, how they were attacked, where the communications were destined, what data was targeted, and really on a lot of security instances, we can grab the data. The data that was attempted to be stolen, you can do forensic data capture and show that. And with this data, you have a better profile, because you've got to kind of hone in where you're going to do your work. You can't just protect everything with super strong levels. You're going to have to focus, and so it's really important. So that forensic reporting is really key. Malware analysis and sandboxing is coming on really strong. We offer a cloud-based sandbox. I'll show that to you in a little bit. The key thing here is you can't push the clean button on AV. A lot of other things that were nice in life are going away. They're not as effective. You'll have to understand, how the system was hit, the registry, the file changes, the global events, all that, and then go find other systems with like characteristics. So the whole re-image clean thing is consuming massive amounts of times. And when I look at customer success stories, that's the biggest benefit, is we're not having to re-image systems like we used to. And then performance. Really pay attention to your SSL performance. You get these cool defenses. If the defense is used on the outbound path, probably going to be able to use it. If someone's pushing a whole bunch of defenses on a returning response and they're processor intensive, you may not be able to turn them on. Depends on your user audience, your performance. Remember, 85% of loads coming back, 15% out. If you can put defenses on the outbound path, it's a good chance you can leave them amped up. All right, so we have our Triton architecture, just a little advertising for what WebSense does. We've put all this together. The key things we use are threat seeker intelligence, tied into Facebook, a bunch of other stuff. We have an ACE defense engine. It's actually about 7 defense assessment areas. And this is where we built the DLP engine in. We've got 3 different malware engines there. There's mal PDF analyzers, there's script analyzers, a lot of stuff, mainly from our security labs. We're in 5 different continents and about over 120 people doing that. That ACE engine is used in 17 solutions across this product line. What I want to hone in on is the web one. We use DLP and web email. We're building it out in the cloud now. We'll eventually have DLP across all 5 areas. For mobile today, we do mobile email DLP. So any email going to a mobile device, you can go ahead and enforce information there. We're building it out in the cloud. Registered data is tougher in the cloud. We added these 10 new defenses. 3 of them are in red. Those are on the inbound, and the new ones are on the outbound, the green path. So criminal encrypted uploads, base level proxy, advanced one, you can detect that. Files containing password. These are binary switches you can just turn on. Advanced malware command and control. You got marketplaces, you got OCR, you got the cumulative DLP, and you got geolocation. And geolocation can apply to any of those. And what this comes to value in is you can put it into a new threat dashboard. You can see all the other security events we pick up. You can look at it from a map, pie chart, area chart, bar chart, whatever you want. You can dig into a security incident and know by user identity or group who was compromised, how the malware works, where, geolocation, what, and actually click on the data and see what data was attempted to be stolen. In the blue ellipses, you can go over to the sandbox. So here's the 7 different areas we dig into. It's our new threat scope sandbox. If you've looked at FireEye and stuff like that, it's very similar. I think what some of the differences are is we're actually going to give you better user identity information, geo-destination location. We'll pick up forensic data and give you a few, 5 or 6 more variables you don't get with those folks. So you can take a look at this. You can demo it. There's sample reports and stuff. But these are the tools that are coming into the forefront. As far as effectiveness, our goal is to move into that predictive quadrant for unknown threats, real-time analysis. We keep putting more and more work in here. We've taken DLP, built it in as a defense engine. So we're trying to give you more tools so you can do a better job. And there's quite a bit more to come. We're actually keep pushing the ideas. And we got a whole other wave. We just launched these 10 new defenses, and there's more to come. And a lot of it's also going to be pushed up in the cloud. So you can give that same defense to remote users. Remote users are kind of screwed over right now. They don't get the same protection as on-premise. I mean, on-premise people have the best defenses, but when you're remote, which a lot of people are, you're kind of dealing with some of the basics. So the industry's got to cough up and do a better job there. All right, a couple examples. They said bring some case studies in. This was about a 40,000 user medical facility. 50% reduction in malware incidents is critical stuff. They lowered their spam rates. They deployed web, email, and DLP all integrated together. Obviously, being a medical facility, it's very important for PIH and PII type information. They dropped their infrastructure from 16 to 6 appliances. We use cloud cleansing, so we can actually clean all their email before we deliver it to them. So that knocks down about 74% of the email load, which reduces bandwidth and reduces the appliances on site. So there's some cost savings tricks when you go hybrid with email. And you also want that cloud-based email to use those wrappers I talked about. So when people are off at a coffee shop, they click on an embedded URL, it goes to that cloud defense for real-time analysis. Remember, the Sunday defenses don't protect on Monday. So these people picked all that up, and it greatly reduced the malware incidences. This one is a federal agency. It's actually Health and Human Services. This is Medicare, Medicaid, FDA, CDC. There's 11 different organizations here. It's a big group, obviously dealing with a lot of medical information. Overall, the federal government gets hit pretty hard. A pretty important customer. They estimate up to 2 million attacks a month. They had over a 60% reduction in system reimaging, which saves IT people a lot of time. The embedded DLP is built right into the engines. It's in the ACE engine. It's in email, the web gateways. And so it saved them a lot of cost. Now, as a taxpayer, we didn't get the money back. Sorry. They actually went and did some other projects. So Dan, that's heads up this agency and stuff, they saw some significant returns. So we're kind of happy that these defenses are showing these kind of results. Been around the industry for 20 plus years, and you know, there's a lot of the same old stuff going around. It's time to kind of change things. Containment's very important. Again, the presentation that was before just mine, the Star Wars metaphor, really hits in. You got to have prevent turned on. You should move towards risk reduction policies, and a lot of these new defenses are available. So look at your current infrastructure, look at upgrades. You may be able to reduce your appliance footprint. You may be able to use cloud cleansing. You may be able to provide some better defenses and put you in a better position. And again, I also agree with the statement, fear mongering doesn't work. You know, going into the senior executives and tell them the sky's falling won't get you any support. You got to come in with practical advice and good tools. So we're right on the time there. Any questions? I'll be happy to take those. Yes, sir. There's a product called Web Filter, which actually started in 1998 at WebSense. That's basically just URL filtering. It's our entry-level product. It's probably about 12% of our sales today. Basically, about 80% of our business is gateways now. So proxy-based gateways, email gateways, cloud, or on-presence. So that's a legacy product. I'd say WebSense is 2007's put over $700 million into gateway technologies. The acquisition of the DLP technologies in 2007 and building that into the engines really reshaped the company. So I wouldn't look at WebSense as really a filtering company. In fact, it's kind of with. So the question is, does DLP have the capability of OCR? Yes, it does, as of 7.7. And it can do it for discovery, can do it on the data endpoint, can do it in the data security gateway, can do it in the web security gateway, and also email gateways. So it's pretty prevalent across all those areas we use the engine. WebSense has a mobile client. If you're going to use iOS devices and Android devices, that's actually all cloud-based. So on iOS, it's a VPN profile to protect the mobile device if you want to send the data channel through there. The DLP technologies aren't in the cloud yet, per se, that we want to do that. As I mentioned, the future, we're doing that right now. That's a spring 2013 item. We also have, for traditional Mac OS and Windows and Linux systems, We have agents that can go cloud-based. We have agents that can fold back to the company where the appliances are installed. So that's a redirect back to the company if you're local. We also have, it can be agent or agentless. There's other ways to do that with a pack file. So Linux, Mac, Windows, iOS, Android, yeah, we have that stuff covered. Good questions. Anything else? Lunch is coming. I know I'm holding you back from the food, so you guys dig in. Thanks a lot for your time. Appreciate it. Have a good day.